Walk, we're harmony. That's the cost of the life. Called to stand out, called to be light. Ain't sugarcoating nothing, igniting faith can be done being nice. Speaking unwanted truth, that's the call for my life. Call for my life, call for my life, call for my life, call for my life. Walk with Christ.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris. This is the pierced heart, and that's Acts 2:37, where it says, when they heard the word, they were cut to their hearts, or pierced to their hearts, and they said, "Brethren, what can we do?" Well, I've been tackling that very topic for the last 3 months now, and I'm excited because I am getting closer and closer to establishing myself as acting for the kingdom and working for the kingdom, and making sure that every decision I make glorifies Him. And I'm encouraging you to do the same. So let's get back into it. We're talking about taking a stand in faith, and we talked about being a watcher. We talked about what it takes to stand for the kingdom and walking by faith. But let's talk about what it means to be trained for war. And one of my favorite parts about finding out the truth about Jesus and truth about the Word, truth about God, is that it's okay to be violent. It's okay. I'm a violent man. I did a lot of mixed martial arts when I was younger. I did a lot of martial arts when I was younger. I did a lot of boxing. I did a lot of violent stuff. I learned a little bit of sword play. I know how to use size. I love violence. Violence is so awesome because it teaches you how to do different things with your body, and it turns you effectively into a weapon. Obviously, that's a crazy way to think, but when I was younger, I was abused a lot, and I never had a way to defend myself. So when I finally was able to grow up and I finally got bigger, I was like, I'll never let anyone be that defenseless again. And that's what I am. I'm a weapon for the defenseless. I'm a weapon for the people who don't have one. And that is just as much a physical weapon as it is a spiritual weapon. So let's get into the word. So in case I lost you there. But this is one of my favorite verses because this is one of the first verses I learned to pray out loud, and a verse I prayed over myself and my family. And I pray this over people. But I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it's the armor of God verses. It starts in Ephesians chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 10. We're only going to go to 12, though. It says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this age, and against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places." So there's this mistaken, misnomer or misidentification among Christians and denominations that other religions and non-believers, and even fellow pseudo-Christian people who kind of believe in God but don't want to follow God, but don't know what else to believe in, they're the issue. And that's partially true, because the issue from that standpoint is that we're all divided. We're all separated. We're not together. We're not joined together. We're not linking arms in battle. We're not doing what the brotherhood of heaven should be doing. But the truth is, and this is going to hurt some people, that Satan loves infighting. He loves seeing people fight amongst their own. He loves seeing wives fight husbands. He loves seeing husbands fight children. He loves seeing children be disobedient. He loves seeing denominations talk crap about other denominations. He loves it when mega churches talk smack about smaller churches. He loves it when smaller churches talk smack about mega churches. He loves all of it. He is here for it. He loves when other religions attack other religions. He is here for that. He's here for the chaos, right? Because it keeps them distracted from what he's really doing. And what Satan is doing, ultimately, is either turning you away from God and putting your attention on someone else, which really is what is in my notes here. But he is distracting you from what God is calling them to do. And this is a flaw to the churches. This is a flaw to the leaders out there who are not equipping their congregations and their disciples and whatever you want to call them. You're not equipping them for the battle at hand. because you want, you don't want to be perceived as too violent. You don't want to be perceived as too, too spiritual and not natural enough. You don't want to be perceived, in a negative space. But if you're supposed to be leading the people, you should be telling people like, hey, your denomination doesn't matter. And guess what? Just because you don't believe something that other person believes doesn't make it wrong. Just because we're not standing on the same, in the same vein of faith doesn't mean that you're against that person. It just means that you need to come together in the word, and that's the issue. This word needs to be something that brings us together, not something that divides us. And the thing about this word is that it is very divisive, because there are things in it that people don't want to hear. There are things in it people don't want to believe. For some people, it's the fact that, murderers and rapists can be forgiven and make it into heaven if they give their lives over to Jesus. People don't want to believe that because they think murderers and rapists are the worst people on the planet. They should be put in a wood chipper. I personally don't like that either, but guess what? The Word of God says they can, so why can't they? And why is it such a big deal that they can be? Shouldn't we want to see people like that turn from their sinful ways, be forgiven, to receive new breath and new life, to receive a new outlook, to receive the salvation, to make it into heaven? That is one of God's children, regardless of how messed up and twisted they have become. They're still one of God's created beings. And on another note, homosexuality. It says that homosexuality is a sin, but you have so many people that they don't want to hear that. Like, well, I like being gay. Being gay is who I am. I was born this way, and all that garbage. But that's just not true, because you are who you say you are. You are who you claim to be. When you're claiming things over yourself, of course you're going to think that you are that, but God didn't call you that. It's not in the Word. God calls those things sin. And the same can be said about money and greed. The same can be said about gluttony and fat people. All these things can be equated to what people don't want to hear, because it's in the Word and it warns you against doing those things. And Satan loves that. Satan loves that you don't want to hear the Word. Satan loves that you don't want to take the Word for what it is. Satan loves that you want to just take the good parts out and leave the bad parts in. That's what he loves. He loves that. He's like, oh yeah, I got these guys by the, I got them by the, got them by the shoelaces now. They're about to be tripped up. But the training you receive from the Word prepares you for the spiritual wars. It prepares you for the spiritual battles and the things you're going to have to confront. Because you're going to have to confront them. I've confronted many a religion, many a homosexual, many a trans person. I've done this, and not confronting to be judgmental, but just saying, hey, I'm a believer in Jesus, what do you think? Oh, he doesn't love me. That is the biggest piece of ammunition that Satan has for people, is that thing that, a lot of people may be sinning because they don't feel loved. Maybe they didn't feel loved, by someone, and someone showed them love. So maybe someone perpetrated love and twisted it and made it disgusting, and they think that that's what love is now, because no one's ever showed them love. But are you willing to show people love in those moments? Because that is a huge piece of God's warfare, is love. Because God calls us to love. God calls us to pray, not just for the good people, but for our enemies as well. He calls us to stand on their behalf and pray for them, to enter into intercession for them. And we had a very powerful series in January at our church where we were doing corporate prayer, and getting kind of like can feel some like good anointing on me just thinking about this. But Pastor called us to pray for our families, and before we started praying, he's like, "Now I want you to pray for them. If they don't know God, pray that they know God. If they're not forgiven, pray that they be forgiven. And if you haven't forgiven them, pray that you forgive them first." And I had such an experience in that moment to pray and to first cast forth forgiveness for the things I've done, and then to spiritually ask for God to forgive me for holding that against them. It was such a freeing, weightless moment for me in the spirit, and it took love. And that this book teaches us to love, but our love should not be a passive aggressive love. It should be an aggressive fighting love. And the training we receive from this word should not be something we use to discredit each other. It should be something we use to pick each other up, to encourage one another, to and again, discredit, to reveal the truth is not to discredit somebody. So when you sit there and say, well, homosexuality is a sin, but when you say to let people know that it's a sin, you're kind of discrediting their life. No. They're discrediting the word by living the life they have and by pretending that they can be a gay Christian, that they can be whatever kind of Christian, but the word calls us not to be like that. It warns us not to be like that. We need to make sure that we're taking this word and we're using it, and we're taking the fight to the real enemy, which is Satan, which is the devil, and which are his assignments, because ultimately that's what we're fighting against. We shouldn't be fighting against each other. We should accept that there are people who don't believe like us. We should accept that there are people who hate us. We should accept that there are people who just don't really know. But what we don't accept is we don't accept all that negativity. We don't accept all that, what they want to include in their lives. What we accept is we accept that they are children of God. We accept that we're the ones called to speak to them, to go to them, to remind them, to bring revelation, to shine our lights brightly on their darkness, to reveal those things. And that's what really wartime is all about, because when you go into the dark places, you're going into the places where the devil is in control, the principalities of darkness are at war, and the spiritual things are butting heads, because there is not enough room on this planet for the two of us. We have to make sure we're taking back territory, because the devil's already tried to take everything. When he confronted Eve in the garden and he caused them to sin, he took away our dominion. It's our turn to take back everything that he took from us. That is the true war. The true war is taking back territory. The true war is saving souls. The true war is shining light and exposing disgusting things and letting people know that it's not okay, but that it is going to be okay, because we have a God who forgives. We have a God who established his son Jesus for our salvation. We have a God who is there for us when we need him. And all we have to do is turn around and he's right there. That is what it means to be trained for war. So I'm going to encourage you guys this week, get in your word. Read Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 20 out loud. Read it over yourself, read it over your children, read it over your family, read it over people you don't like. And allow God to work that prayer. Allow God to do something with that prayer. Allow God to train you for war. Go back in this Bible and find the places you need to go to become trained and better equipped for your situations. Because not all of our situations are the same. Not all warfare looks the same. Not all battlefields are the same. Things are different from one person to the next person, from one situation to the next situation, from one circumstance and experience to the next circumstance and experience. We have to be ready in all ways, at all times, to not only defend the kingdom, but to take back territory for the kingdom. That's what I got for you guys today. Alright guys, that's the video. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new here, I appreciate your new support. Make sure to subscribe. Click that post notification bell to stay up to date with future post notifications. If you're subscribed and have been subscribed, I appreciate you rocking with me. From the United Faith channel to this channel, I appreciate you crossing over and walking this new journey out with me. And if you could like, comment, and subscribe to get that algorithm moving us in the right direction. Let's get faith on the front page of YouTube. I've been saying it for a long time. And if you want to support me in other ways, you can go check out my merch shop. It's tph-faith-shop.printify.me. There's some cool shirts, some cool designs, all created by me. No secondhand artists here. I hope one day to have one of those, but right now it's just me, so I'm proud of the things I'm putting out. And hopefully you are enjoying the series. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. God bless. And I love y'all.